Hey there, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a topic that's maybe not the most fun, but definitely important: identity theft and credit fraud.
Right. Nobody wants to think about it, but
Exactly, but it's something we all need to be aware of.
absolutely.
You've sent us a ton of resources on this, so we're going to dig in and give you the tools to protect yourself.
Yeah, the thing about identity theft is it's not just about losing money, right? It's deeper. It's like someone stealing your whole financial identity.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's scary.
So that can have consequences for years.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. How can we spot the warning signs early on? What are the red flags?
Well, one of the most obvious is unauthorized transactions.
Yeah.
If you see something on your bank statement that you didn't do.
Like a sudden trip to Hawaii.
Exactly. That's a big red flag.
But what if it's not that obvious, like smaller charges that are easy to miss?
Oh, yeah. Those happen too. Those micro charges, especially recurring ones, those can be sneaky.
So we gotta check our statements carefully.
Absolutely. Every detail.
Okay, and what else besides the statements?
Keep an eye out for accounts you never opened. You get a credit card bill for a card you never applied for.
Oh, wow. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, that's a huge red flag.
So it's not just about what we see on our statements, it's also about unexpected bills.
Right, exactly.
And what about credit scores? Do those play a role?
Well, they're a big one. A sudden drop in your credit score for no reason.
That's a warning sign.
It can be, even if you haven't noticed anything else suspicious yet.
Okay, so credit score changes are important too.
For sure, and also watch out for debt collectors calling about debts that aren't yours.
Oh, gosh, yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, that's a classic sign. Someone might be using your name to rack up debt.
Okay, so we've spotted some red flags. Now what? What are the immediate steps?
Don't panic, first of all.
Easy to say, harder to do, right?
I know, but staying calm is important. One of the first things you should do is place a fraud alert on your credit reports.
Okay, a fraud alert, is that like a big warning sign?
Yeah, kind of. It lets lenders know that someone might be trying to open accounts in your name.
So it makes them more careful.
Exactly. And it's free.
Oh, free is good. How do we set that up?
You just contact one of the 3 credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion.
And they all talk to each other?
Yep.
Yeah.
Contacting one notifies the other 2.
Okay, so fraud alert is done. What's next?
Next, you need to check your credit reports. Look for anything that seems unfamiliar.
Okay, but where do we get those? And are they expensive?
No, not at all. You can get a free credit report from each bureau once a year through annualcreditreport.com.
Wait, really? All 3 for free?
Yes, every year.
Okay, that's amazing. So we're looking at these reports and we see something fishy.
Then you dispute it, you can contact the credit bureau and they have to investigate.
Okay, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
fraudulent credit reports, disputed, anything else?
Now you got to contact the companies that might be affected, your bank, your credit card issuer, any retailer where your info might have been used.
So anyone who could have been hit.
Exactly. Let them know what's going on and follow their instructions.
Okay, contain the damage, and who else should we tell?
The Federal Trade Commission, the FTC.
Right, they're like the consumer protection people.
Exactly. Their website, identitytheft.gov, is a great resource, not just for reporting, but for guidance.
So it's not just about reporting, it's about getting help to recover.
Precisely. They can help you create a whole recovery plan to get back on track.
Okay, that's good to know. You also mentioned something called a credit freeze. What's that all about?
A credit freeze is like the ultimate protection. It stops anyone from opening new credit in your name.
So even stronger than a fraud alert.
Yeah, a fraud alert is like a warning. A credit freeze is a complete lockdown.
Wow, so how does it work?
It basically prevents any new credit accounts from being opened, even by you, until you unfreeze it.
So I couldn't even get a new credit card myself.
Nope, not until you lift the freeze.
Okay, that's intense. So how do I set it up?
You can do it online or by phone with each of the credit bureaus, and it's free.
Free. That's good, but what if I need to open an account?
You can temporarily unfreeze it anytime you need to apply for credit.
So I unfreeze, apply, then freeze again.
Exactly. It's super easy, and many bureaus let you set a temporary lift for a specific time, so you don't even have to remember to refreeze.
Okay, that's reassuring. So a credit freeze sounds like a good idea if you're not planning to open any new accounts anytime soon.
Definitely, if you want maximum protection, it's the way to go.
A fortress around your credit.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about what to do if we see red flags, and this credit freeze sounds like a good preventative measure. But are there things we can do on a daily basis to make ourselves less of a target?
Absolutely. Preventing identity theft is all about being proactive and building good habits. It starts with something we all use every day. Passwords.
Oh, passwords, the bane of my existence. I can never remember them all.
I hear you. But strong, unique passwords are crucial, especially for financial accounts.
So password 123 is out.
Definitely outthink long complex. A mix of upper and lowercase numbers, symbols, the whole shebang.
And different passwords for every account.
Absolutely essential. That way, if one gets compromised, the damage is contained.
Okay, but how am I supposed to remember all those Fort Knox passwords?
That's where a password manager comes in. It's like a secure vault for all your passwords. You only need to remember one master password.
Password managers. Okay. I've heard of those. Are they easy to use?
Surprisingly, yes. There are tons of options out there, both free and paid. Just find one that works for you.
You've convinced me password managers. It is so strong. Password manager to keep track. What else can we do?
Let's talk about two-factor authentication, or 2FA.
Oh yeah, 2FA, that's where you get a code sent to your phone, right?
Exactly. It adds an extra layer of security. Even if someone steals your password, they can't get in without that second factor.
Okay, so passwords, password manager, 2FA, what else?
Be careful with public Wi-Fi.
Oh, you mean like at the coffee shop?
Exactly. Public Wi-Fi is convenient, but it can be a hacker's paradise.
Mm-hmm.
Your data is out in the open.
Yikes. So should I just avoid it altogether?
That's one option, but not always practical. A better solution is to use a VPN.
Okay, a VPN, I've seen that acronym, but what does it actually do?
Think of it as a secret tunnel for your data. It encrypts your connection even on public Wi-Fi.
So it protects my info from prying eyes.
Exactly like a bodyguard for your data.
Okay, that makes me feel better about using public Wi-Fi, so VPNs are a must.
If you're going to connect on the go, definitely.
All right, VPN added to the list. Strong password manager 2FA VPNs. Feeling pretty secure over here.
You're getting there, but we're not done yet. Let's talk about something a bit more old school, shredding documents.
The good old shredder. My grandma loves hers.
She's on to something. Shredding sensitive documents before you toss them is crucial.
Yeah, like bank statements, credit card, offers anything with personal info.
Exactly. You don't want that stuff ending up in the wrong hands.
Definitely shredder is any other low-tech tips.
Be careful about sharing personal info over the phone.
Like my social security number or credit card details.
Exactly. Never give that out unless you're 100% sure who you're talking to. Scammers are really good at sounding legit.
So if someone calls claiming to be from my bank,
hang up and call the bank back. Using the number on your statement, don't trust caller ID.
Got it. Better safe than sorry. So we've talked about all these precautions, but is there a way to monitor our credit to make sure nothing's going on behind our backs?
Absolutely. There are some great tools out there for credit monitoring, and many of them are free.
Free credit monitoring. Tell me more.
Apps like Credit Karma and Experian can track your credit score and send you alerts if anything changes, like a new account or a hard inquiry.
So it's like a watchdog for my credit.
Exactly. It gives you peace of mind and helps you catch fraud early.
Okay, those are going on my phone right now. So we've covered a lot: strong passwords, password managers, 2FA VPNs, shredding, vigilance, credit monitoring apps. Anything else?
I think the key takeaway is that protecting yourself is an ongoing process. Stay informed, stay proactive, and be careful with your personal information.
And even if we do everything right, there's always a chance something could happen.
That's true, but by taking these precautions, we're much better prepared to handle it.
Exactly. Minimizing risk, maximizing control.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork for building a solid defense, but now I'm curious about what happens if, despite our best efforts, someone does manage to steal our identity. What do we do then?
That's a great question, and one we'll tackle in part 2 of our deep dives. Stay tuned.
Can't wait to find out. I have a feeling it's going to be intense, but super helpful.
It definitely will be. We'll equip you with all the tools you need to fight back and reclaim your digital life.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. It is a lot to think about, but even small changes can make a big difference.
Yeah, and a lot of these things aren't that hard to do, like setting up a password manager. Once you do it, it actually makes things easier.
Exactly. A little effort up front, but so worth it in the long run.
Yeah.
Same with 2FA and VPNs. They might seem like extra steps, but they really boost your security.
It's about finding that balance between convenience and security.
Right. And it's always changing as technology changes. The ways identity thieves operate change too. So we have to stay informed.
Speaking of staying informed, I want to dive a little deeper into those red flags we talked about earlier. Can you give us some specific examples where those red flags were like a sure sign of identity theft?
Oh, definitely. One common one is unauthorized credit card charges. Let's say you check your statement and you see a bunch of small recurring charges for some streaming service you never signed up for.
Okay, yeah, those little charges are easy to miss, but they could mean someone's got your card info.
Exactly. And sometimes the charges are bigger, like airline tickets, hotels, even online shopping sprees that weren't you.
That's terrifying. How did they even get our info in the first place? It's like we're living in a spy movie.
Well, it depends. Sometimes it's simple. Someone steals your wallet or purse. But other times it's more sophisticated, like hackers using phishing scams.
Phishing scams. Those are those emails that look like they're from a real company, right?
Exactly. They look legit with logos and everything, but they're designed to trick you into clicking a link or downloading something that puts malware on your computer.
And then they can steal your passwords and stuff?
Exactly. It's like giving them the keys to the kingdom.
So we gotta be super careful about what we click on.
Absolutely. Always hover over a link to see where it really goes before you click. If it looks weird or doesn't match the company, don't click.
Good advice. So stolen wallets, phishing scams, any other common ways they get our info? I'm starting to feel paranoid.
Data breaches are a huge problem these days. Companies getting hacked, millions of people's data stolen.
It seems like there's a new one every week. It's scary to think our info could be out there just waiting to be used.
It is concerning. And the worst part is you might not even know your info's been compromised until it's too late. It could be years before you see any signs.
So what can we do to protect ourselves from data breaches? It feels like they're unavoidable.
You can't completely eliminate the risk, but you can minimize it. Be selective about who you share your info with.
Like, don't give my credit card to every website that asks for it.
Exactly. Only share with companies you trust. Companies with good security practices look for things like encryption.
Okay, so it goes back to being vigilant, knowing the risks, and taking steps to protect ourselves.
Right, being a smart digital citizen.
Okay, so we've talked about prevention, but what happens if the worst happens and we discover we're a victim of identity theft? What are the first things we should do?
It's good to have a plan. The first thing you should do is contact the companies where the fraud happened, like your bank or credit card issuer.
So they can freeze the accounts and stop the bleeding.
Exactly, and they can help you dispute the charges and get your money back.
And should we report it to the police or something?
You should report it to the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, at identitytheft.gov. It creates an official record and helps you start the recovery process.
And what does the FTC do? Do they just take the report or do they actually help?
They have tons of resources and guidance. They can even create a personalized recovery plan for you based on your situation.
So they're like our identity theft support team.
Exactly. They can connect you with other organizations that can help too, like credit repair and legal aid.
So we have backup. That's good to know. So contacting the companies and the FTC are the first two steps. What else should we do early on?
This might seem obvious, but document everything. Keep records of all your communications. Save emails, letters, anything relevant.
So we have a paper trail if there are any disputes later on.
Exactly. It's also good to keep a journal or log of everything that happens, dates, times, details of conversations.
Okay. Stay organized, be thorough. And what about the emotional side of things? I imagine it can be really stressful and overwhelming to deal with all of this.
It absolutely can be. Remember, recovery takes time and patience. It can be a long process, but stay persistent. Advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, it's easy to get discouraged, but we have to keep going and know that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly. And with the right support and information, you can overcome this and regain control of your identity and finances.
Okay, so we've talked about the immediate steps, but what about the longer-term recovery? What are the challenges and what resources are out there to help?
Good question. The recovery process depends on how bad the identity theft was. But some common challenges are repairing your credit, resolving fraudulent debts, and getting back into your accounts.
Okay, let's break those down. Starting with credit repair. Identity theft must really mess up your credit score.
It definitely can. Those fraudulent accounts, unpaid bills, all that negative stuff drags down your score and makes it hard to get loans, rent an apartment, and even get a job.
So how do we fix our credit after something like this?
The first step is to dispute any wrong or fraudulent info on your credit report.
Yeah.
You could do this with the credit bureaus, and they have to investigate and correct any errors.
That's where those records we talked about come in handy.
Exactly. You need proof to back up your claims. And if the credit bureaus don't help you, can complain to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB.
So there's someone to go to if we're not getting the help we need.
Right. And remember, credit repair takes time. It's not instant, but with persistence and the right strategies, you can rebuild your score.
Okay, so credit repair is a process. What about those fraudulent debts? That sounds like a nightmare.
It can be. If someone opened accounts or took out loans in your name, you have to contact those creditors and explain what happened.
And hopefully they'll just erase the debt.
It's not always that easy. Unfortunately, you need proof that you were a victim, and you might have to negotiate to get it removed from your credit report.
So again, those records are super important.
Absolutely. And if the creditors are being difficult, the CFPB can help. They have a whole department for identity theft and fraud complaints.
Okay, so we have some backup there too. So credit repair, fraudulent debts. What about getting access to our own accounts?
If your bank accounts are frozen, you have to work with your bank to prove who you are and get access again. You might need more documents or go through extra verification.
And what about online accounts like email and social media?
If you think those have been hacked, change your passwords right away and turn on two-factor authentication if you can.
And if we can't get in because the password's been changed,
Then you have to contact the company and follow their process for getting your account back. Might involve security questions, proof of identity, or talking to customer support.
so it can be a bit of a maze, but there's usually a way back in.
Usually. And some companies have extra security features, like account monitoring or fraud alerts that can help you catch suspicious activity.
Okay, good to know. So we've covered a lot today, from prevention to recovery. It's complicated, but the main thing is to be aware, take precautions, and be ready to act if it happens to us.
I agree. It's about being informed, vigilant, and proactive. And if it does happen, you're not alone. There are resources to help you get through it.
That's a good reminder. Thanks for sharing your expertise with us today.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, stay safe, stay informed, and take control of your digital lives. Yeah, it really can be, it goes beyond just the money. It can really shake your sense of security.
Absolutely. It's like a violation of your personal space, and it probably takes a while to feel safe again.
It does. But remember, you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
There are support groups and resources out there specifically for people who've been through this.
Oh, that's good to know. So talking to others who understand what you're going through can be helpful.
It can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Sharing your story, hearing from others, it can make you feel less alone and more empowered to recover.
Yeah, just knowing you're not the only one going through this must make a big difference.
It really does.
Yeah.
So, yes, while we've talked about a lot of practical steps today, it's important to acknowledge that emotional side of things and to get support if you need it.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, is there anything else you want to leave our listeners with, any final words of wisdom about identity theft?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that prevention is key.
Hmm.
Being proactive and protecting your information is the best way to reduce your risk.
Right. Build those defenses and stay vigilant.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And if it does happen, act quickly, document everything, and use those resources we talked about.
They're there to help you every step of the way.
That's right. And remember, information is power. The more we know about how identity theft works, the better we can protect ourselves.
Well said. Thanks so much for joining us on the deep dive today. It's been incredibly insightful.
It's been my pleasure. And to our listeners, stay safe, stay informed, and stay in control of your digital lives.
If this podcast helped you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep making these videos. Thanks for watching.